everybody, welcome back to This is Angie, and this is Angie here. This is where we talk about faith, friendships, and lifestyle, and everything else in between. I'm so excited that you're here watching, and today we're going to be talking about how do you know who your friends are, or like sometimes you meet a lot of people and you have a lot of people in your life, and we've talked about avoiding this tendency to stretch yourself or to spread yourself too thin, where you end up with a lot of shallow relationships, or where you find yourself investing so much in relationships that sometimes may not be the very best for you. Now, how do you know? Number one, I'm going to reference something that one of our very dear priests had shared once. He said, nobody is immune to envy. You, myself, and everybody else can be envious. Sometimes something will happen that will trigger that feeling of envy. And sometimes if you're a person who's aware of yourself and conscious, you'll be able to catch yourself when that happens, but sometimes you may not. But generally, there's going to be envy. And where there's envy, if someone is envious of you, they probably want what you have in one way or another. And you don't have to be like super successful or anything. Just envy can be over small things. But if someone wants something that you have, to the point where they probably are bad-mouthing or discouraging you or not even happy for you, then that's a sign that that's going to be a toxic relationship, and it's probably wise for you to trim the fat. And when sometimes someone feels like you don't deserve the life that you have, if you probably have done something where you maybe got a promotion, or you wanted to go to a certain high school or a certain college and you got into the program, someone else didn't. It could be a lot of different things. Maybe you've come of age and now you're ready to settle down. You've met the one before a lot of your other friends, and now there's envy. It could be a lot of things that trigger that feeling of envy, where people feel like you don't deserve and they deserve, or they want what you have. And that kind of environment is not going to end up very well. Those are the areas or those are the people who you end up in a very toxic relationship with, where it's more competitive, where it's more, if there's envy, just not a good idea. And the one thing is that you want to be around people who have as much to lose as you do. And a lot of times, if people don't have as much to lose as you do, they may not be as invested as you are. So be fully aware of that. Then the other thing is people who gossip. And I'm telling you this out of experience. If someone is gossiping with you about someone else, they will gossip you. And if someone is a gossip and you know that they might gossip you, then it becomes very challenging for you to be vulnerable with them, because you know that you cannot tell them things that are intimate. And a lot of times, even if you share something that you probably don't want anyone else knowing, that it might be something that you hear with other people. And a lot of times other relationships with other people get hurt because you told something and you probably didn't even mean it in a negative way. They'll go tell it to somebody else out of context. And then now you have this situation where other people had a little bit of the story. They didn't hear the full context of why you had said you made a certain comment about something, and they only hear the comment, but they don't hear the full context of why that was made. And a lot of times, if someone is a gossip, you truly, I will tell you, if someone comes to you and talks to you about other people, you just know that that's going to end up being a toxic situation. And so then question becomes, what do we talk about? You talk about ideas, you talk about plans that they have, hopes that they have, their own personal lives, but when it starts talking about other people constantly, and every time you have any kind of conversation, it's about other people, then you know it's going to be a really toxic situation. So far we've talked about three things. One, where there's envy, there's going to be jealousy, it's going to be one person having more to lose than the other one. Where there's gossip, you know that's going to end up being a toxic environment. It's going to be a toxic situation. you cannot trust that person, you cannot be vulnerable with a person that you cannot trust, and therefore the friendship will not be one that's going to be a positive one at the very end. Because what we have discussed so far is that you want to only hone and have a small group of friendships where there's depth. Because where there's depth, there's trust, there's vulnerability, then there's growth, and good things will come out of that situation. Then we have another category of frenemies. People who are very close to you, but they're not your friends. They seem like they're your friends. You feel like they should be your friends. You've come from far. You've gone through a lot of different life situations together. And somehow you think like, okay, these are my people. This is my tribe. This is my squad. But when something good happens, are they going to be there to celebrate with you? Or when you're mourning, are they going to be there to mourn with you? These frenemies are people who they kind of are like your friends, but they're not really your friends. They're your enemies, but they're not like clearly your enemies. They seem like they're your friends. It's just confusing. And as you grow older, it becomes really clear who these people are in your life. But I truly think having an enemy is just the best thing, because you really know this person, we're not on the same page. But these are the people who are sly, who are in your life, but they're kind of there to kind of just keep an eye on what's going on, but they're not truly there in your life to support you. That, you know, and how do you even know that that this person who's very close to you is not your person, your friend? How do you know? This is where now you have to trust your gut. This is where you have to go with, just trust your vibe. If sometimes, say for example, you have someone who you share something really positive, something exciting, some good news, but they don't even acknowledge it, or something really meaningful has happened in your life and you get to a point where you now even don't want to share it with them, or when you share it with them, they turn it around and start telling you about other things that are completely different from what you're trying to celebrate. Like you get a promotion at work and you share like, oh, I got this promotion, and they're like, oh, that's very nice. Oh, by the way, did you know? And they just continue on to talk about other things and completely disregard what you shared. Or if something really like maybe you bought a car, like a really nice new car, and they see it and completely ignore it or don't even acknowledge it. You bought a house, they come to your new place, don't even recognize or don't acknowledge that you moved. Or you got into the school that you really wanted to get into, and you're studying the program that you wanted to study, and they just don't even celebrate with you. These are just things that happen quite often, and they happen with people who are very close to us, who know what our hopes are, and when we get there, they can see it, but they don't want to celebrate that with you. That's a sign. So truly just trust the energy, trust the vibe that you're getting, because that's gonna direct you and really shed a lot of light. And a lot of times it becomes very, very easy to identify these kinds of people when you're going through a major life change. Like if you're growing in some significant way, it becomes very easy to figure out these people, because you just have to watch the reactions of the people. And then just sometimes it's just life experience. As you live longer, you become more keen, you become more aware. But if you're in your 20s and you're at a point where you probably haven't experienced a lot of different disappointments from people, these are just some of the things to keep an eye on. And you want to have friends in your life that will celebrate with you when you're celebrating, that will mourn with you when you're mourning, but more importantly, those who will celebrate when you celebrate. Because a lot of times when there's good news, it can become difficult to share. It can become difficult to celebrate your wins, because the people around you probably don't trust them, or maybe sometimes you'll share something and someone is not happy, and it's just challenging to celebrate your wins. And what you find happening is a lot of people keep those things to themselves, and over time it can become a challenge for you, where you're winning, you're slaying, and you want to celebrate, but you feel a burden of some sort, where you don't want to share any good news. You keep all the good news to yourselves, because the people around you are not people that you can trust will celebrate with you. Or you've had an experience where you've shared good news with other people and they were not receptive, and now you get to a point where you don't want to share with anyone that's a sign that the crowd around you is not the right, you're not in the right situation, basically. And you don't have to be young or old. These things are happening to everybody. And it's not something that's just happening to you. If you're having experiences that are toxic with friendships, as an adult, as a young person, these challenges are happening to everyone. It's not something that's unique to you. It's happening to a lot of different people. I've had a lot of different conversations, and these are stories that you hear a lot. And it's mostly the people who are closest to people where the hurt happens. It's the people who are close to people where toxicity lives. And you want to be able to step away from some of these situations so that you can be able to create a smaller circle of people who you truly know are for you and you're together. Like, you can be more supportive as a friend to this group. You can be more present. And if you have a small group of people where there's depth, where there's genuineness and openness, then you're more likely going to get a more clear vision of what you want, because you're not having to deal with so much unnecessary vibes, unnecessary toxicity, unnecessary gossip, unnecessary dispute resolution, unnecessary baggage. If you can trim off some of these things that are not positive, and only keep the people around you that you guys you're going forward together, then you're more likely to gain clarity, because you're not wasting your energy on a lot of other unnecessary issues, particularly for people who are young and you're trying to get established, but you're getting pulled down. You're ending up trying to spend so much time and effort on conflict, on disappointments, because every time you go through a situation with a close relationship, a lot of times people say, "Oh, I don't care," but at the very core of it, it does hurt, and you end up spending time and effort, emotional energy trying to deal with all this toxicity. Where if you're on the right vibe, you're around people who are going the way you're going, who have as much to lose as you do, you're more likely to support each other to get to the destination. So again, when we were talking about gardening your friendship garden, we talk about pruning your rows and only leaving the very good and healthy that you can feed and thrive. If you're trying to strengthen your muscle, if you're trying to get a stronger muscle, you trim off the fat by truly eliminating some of this fat and strengthening your muscle. And how do you know where to trim? We're talking about some of the things to look at: envy, gossip, people who are just not truly genuine or happy for you. These are just some signs of people that you should maybe not be in a friendship with. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share, and like this video. Comment in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you experienced some of these frenemies? Have you had experiences where something really meaningful happened and you went to share with someone who you thought was your friend, and they just kind of let it be and didn't even probably be happy for you? Have you had situations where you're even scared of sharing with other people when something meaningful happens, because you don't know if they're gonna be celebrating with you or not? I want to hear what are some of your experiences with some of these more toxic type situations. And do you agree with me that you should maybe walk out of those situations and focus on only building good, healthy, nourishing relationships and friendships? What are your thoughts? I want to hear what your thoughts are. Please share your feedback. Again, share the video, subscribe, and let's grow together. Thank you, and welcome back again. Bye-bye.